She's finally done. In today's installment of What in the Hell is Going On in This Garage, we are going to turn this Apache 9800 long case, rifle case, into a mobile, portable, powerful workstation. One that you can take with you in your vehicle and work anywhere remote and have dual monitors, high computing power for those who do lots of reports, Excel documents, video editing, live streaming, anything that requires multiple screens and decent computer power while also being fairly mobile, because it's not small, but it will be an all-in-one unit that I can throw in the back of the truck, take with me when I'm on the road, and I'm not going to have to sacrifice the benefits of being at a, standalone desk where I've got all my monitors and all my, my more powerful computer. The laptop just doesn't get it done sometimes, and we are going to fix that. So if you've never seen one of these little devils before, it's a plastic box with latches, wheels, handles. It's about 40 by 20, which will be just the right size for 2 monitors with a little wiggle room on the end, but I got plans for that wiggling. In the bottom here, we will have our power supply or power strip, probably with a battery backup, maybe not, we'll see. We will have storage compartment for peripherals such as HDMI cables, USB-C cables, the keyboard, the mouse. That'll kind of be in the center, and up here to the top, we will have our Mac M1 Mini, as well as the Mac M1 Mini expansion dock, which just gives us more ports. And if you don't know about the Mac M1 Mini, have I posted the video yet? I haven't posted the video yet. At some point, I'll put the link up at the top. The Mac M1 Mini is an amazing computer for its size. It can render 4 full K videos without breaking a sweat, and it is extremely small, like the size of my hand. Not that my hands are small, but you know what I mean, for a computer. So it's basically going to be monitors, power, peripherals, computer. We'll have some waterproof power connections on this side, and we'll have a waterproof Ethernet connection, bulkhead, panel mount style on that side. Completely weatherproof, all in one. I'll be able to get to the hotel, throw this on the desk or table, whip out the keyboard, and get straight to work. So first things first, we'll whip out the foam and start lining up where all of the hardware is going to go. I'm using 1/2-inch MDF here for the bottom and the top. 2 monitors will be mounted to the top section, and I'll do all my hardware mounting, computer, power strip, cable management to the bottom section. I'm using MDF because it's smooth, it's easy to work with, it's strong, it's cheap. You could use plywood, you could use metal if you want to, but this seems to fit this application well enough, and that's something you can pick up anywhere. 1/2-inch thick, 2 foot wide by 4 foot long, cut in half is almost perfect for what you need for the top and bottom. I'm not going to need to make any cuts other than this one right here until it's time to do some cable management stuff anyway. Now to pull this off, we have to be able to do a couple things. One, we need to be able to mount a support piece to the back. I don't want to attach the monitors directly to the case. The case is strong, but over time I worry that going directly into the case, that those small holes that close together will be compromised. So we're going to use this 1/2-inch MDF. We will mount the monitors to this, and then we will mount this to the case, because this gives us increased surface area and more mounting points. So instead of having 4 small holes in the case that could eventually waller out and tear in this plastic. We will have bigger, thicker holes, thicker bolts, and more places to help distribute that load a little bit better. So here's what we're looking at. This is essentially 1 foot by 4 foot, and monitors will be mounted to that. We'll put a little bit, I've got some accent material, fabric. It's not fabric, you'll see. I'm gonna put over this after we get the holes pre-drilled, make it look nice. Monitors will go there. And then that's all there is to it. This part's gonna be fairly easy. So we will now mark the placements for the holes, and we'll get started on that. So we're kind of roughing in the general layout here. These are two HP 21.5-inch monitors. These are my work monitors that I will sometimes throw in the back of the truck and actually travel with and take these into my hotel room, and it is extremely inconvenient, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this. So these fit just right. I'll have just enough room to do my cabling and just enough room on the sides to do my lighting for streaming and content creating, that kind of thing. This will give us 3 mounting points on the side, in the middle, and on the other side. So we'll have 9 mounting points to the MDF, to the case. And then before we do that, we will mount these monitors directly to the MDF. We will do that with the stock mounting hardware. I'll have the bolts go straight through the MDF washer, straight into the back of the monitor, and that should be fine. And you can see here, I almost went with an articulating mount so that I could maneuver these once I got set up, but I really don't have the space. I need to leave as much space in the bottom section for all my computer stuff, power stuff, cabling, and that kind of thing. So from here, I will just start to mark holes. We'll start drilling and running some bolts in, the bolt and nut thing. So getting these type of measurements with tight tolerances is a little bit of a challenge. It's mostly guessing, and you're either right or you're wrong. But a tape measure does help, and a straight edge. My lines aren't straight, but I do have a tape measure, so I'm halfway there. So basically what I did was, I've got a bracket that I was going to use to mount these, and I'm using it as a template because it's got the holes in the right spot. I at least have that to help me. If I didn't have this, you could put a piece of cardboard over this and poke a hole where they go, and you could do the same thing. So I laid out the monitors, and I made lines at the edges of each one where I wanted them to sit, and now I'm able to measure basically the distance from the top of the monitor to the hole, and then I can measure down from where the top of the monitor would be to the hole, and then I take the same measurement from the side, 7.5, and then I just 7.5, 7.5. I line it up. If you do this right, you really only have to measure to 2 holes because that's all you need for square, and then you can just run your marker or Sharpie in the other 2 holes, and that's that. And I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Then we'll be able to drill the holes, run the screws through. Not yet, because we still got to do our little finishing material. But yeah, it's that easy. Once we have the holes for the monitors drilled and we know that we like those, then we will temporarily set those and come back in and drill holes for the MDF mounting. Now on this next part, I mentioned we're going to have 3, 3, and 3 bolts fastening the backer board to the case itself. I don't want to go straight through the top because there are ribs on the back side of this case, right where I'm going to mount. And instead of going through the top and not knowing where I'm going to land, I'm going to center myself right where I want to be in these little cells here so it looks nice and finished. Because this is going to be the top of the case, you're going to see it. But that bolt head should rest right in the recess there, be perfectly centered. So we'll drill from this direction in, and that'll give us our 3 holes here. Then we'll be able to run the washers and nuts, and that's it. Do the same thing here. here, and there. This is gonna surprise the hell out of you, but I am going to eyeball this. Oh yeah. Let's go right here. Don't hit my hand. Okay, so from here, we'll go ahead and run a nut and bolt to help hold that in position. These things can get a little squirrely as I move these clamps around. All right. I'm missing a bolt. Actually, I'm missing a nut, but I need longer hardware anyway because we're not quite fully secured, and I still have to put a washer and a lock on. A washer on the back side, a lock washer on, and then the material that I'm going to put on there that's about 1/4 of an inch thick. But you can see, I'll paint these bolt heads black once I'm done. I ended up going with 8 instead of 9 because I didn't want to go through the center of that. Not that I like that sticker, but I think I'm going to put something else there. Might do something cool. Yeah, I was off. But, all right, I'm going to run to the store, get some hardware. And as soon as I have the longer hardware, I'll start the finishing of that. And then we will get her bolted down. All right, so before I get too far along, I'm going to install the struts, gas shocks, whatever you want to call them. This pair was like $7 on Amazon, so I don't have high expectations, but we'll see if it works. If nothing else, it will prevent the lid from opening all the way, even if it's too weak to hold it open, so we'll see. But comes with this little diagram. I'm just gonna figure out how long 255 millimeters are. We can mount the hardware it comes with. So we'll try that. All right, the shocks are added. This is the first time. I'll try to open it with both fully installed. I just shut it. I don't think it'll open on its own. I would try to. Okay, I can live with that. Like I said, I don't really need it to, self-open necessarily. I just want it to hold it upright. It's kind of, no, it's not kind of. It is at a bit of an acute angle. But generally, I'm at eye level, and so that will kind of bring it a little bit closer to me. The real answer is I just guesstimated that spacing, so I'm glad it's as close as it is. This bracket here has some adjustability. I can loosen that and bring that bracket up, and it will open up a little bit more, but I'm not gonna fiddle with it now. I'm gonna get on to the next step. Got this old microwave here. It's a 1989 model, Samsung. It works. Oh, you remember that sound? I kind of like the wood grain. So I'm gonna use that as some accent plates. So, sorry, microwave, getting cut up. Popped her off. Do not remove envelope or destroy contents. Okay. All right, so here's what I'm thinking for this keyboard kind of mount. And then I'm also going to take one out of the side here to do the iMac Mini mount. Kind of came out ugly. I'm going to clean that up. Should have drew a line, taped something. I bet this looks nuts. This is the underside of the bottom half of the case. You can see here, this is where the computer's gonna go. It's upside down. So we've got our power going out and our two HDMI feeds coming from the computer that come around and go one up to that monitor, one up to that monitor, and both powers come out. And so we've got 3 lines going in here. I bought some really nice fancy self-adhesive clips that make this not look like a trailer park, no offense, but the clips, they were a little too tall. I've got really tight tolerances, so I really couldn't afford to bring this up any higher. So I used tape, and it actually worked pretty good. You can see I've got my washers in place. We're going to sandwich that MDF between 2 big washers to kind of help give it a secure hold and a little extra rigidity. And then we also came around with a light strip. I'm not a big fan of light strips, but it seemed like a neat application for it. I'm about a foot short, but what's new? So we'll be able to flip this over, then we'll put our skin on top, put our skin on top on that side, put the monitors on, then we should be able to plop this baby in. And here's kind of what we're gonna look like once we get stuff together. Kind of cable, miscellaneous parts bag, microwave, keyboard holder, M1 Mac Mini little holder. We've got a little power strip going over here. We'll route that around. We're gonna come out the side with a, where's my dingle hopper? Oh, it's in the box. But yeah, so that's looking pretty good. I've got some nice hardware to bring this in. We're gonna drill those holes, and then we really will be ready to slap it together. So I tried using these Burns-O-Matic aluminum brazing rods with MAP gas to make these mitered corners of my mouse and accessory tray, but this just does not get hot enough, and it might be because it's hard to heat this with it being on a metal table and it's cold. In some situations this might be enough, and this is a crappy old nozzle. Either way, I don't have time to mess with it, so I cut out a piece of galvanized flashing. I don't even know the thickness, real thin metal, and then I ran a thick bead of super glue all the way around and pressed that in, and then clamped it down. Now I know that's not going to be very strong, but this actually doesn't need to be strong. It just needs to be one piece. So once I have this semi together, I'm going to come back with a grinder and sander, and I'm going to make these edges look real neat, and then that'll be ready to go on the base. Here you can see my base platform standoffs installed. Essentially the way it's designed is I double nutted it. Wow, forgot that one. Double nutted it to give me space for my cable management duct tape extraordinaire job. So now I should be able to take that whole base, set it right through there, or right on top. These 2-inch hardware 1/4-inch bolts will go right up through the pre-drilled holes. Then I'll be able to fender washer and nut it down so it's all the way tight, all the way through to the base, but they got that little cavity for all my wires. All right, bottom board is bolted up. It was pretty tricky getting those holes lined up because you got to think the longer your bolt is, the less aligned they're going to be with each other. So I had to fight with that a little bit, but got it in, got it secured. Now the rest of the stuff, the power strip, the storage bag, the accessory bag, that's going to be Velcroed to the bottom plate, and the the keyboard and Mac will also be Velcroed down, but I wanted them to have something a little more stable to stick to. I don't care if the other little odds and ends come off or get loose. We just got to put the top on. Run power. Almost done. All right, there's monitors mounted in a similar fashion. These are just placeholders. These aren't 4K. These are just some extra work monitors I had, so I'm kind of using it for the proof of concept. And if it works good, then I'm going to replace it with some 4Ks. You can see on the back side, to create as much space inside as possible, I didn't want these bolt heads sticking out. I wanted it to be flat, so I Forstnered out a recess, so you can see it'll fit tight up against the lid. Woo! Jesus Christ, that was a pain. I didn't leave the wires long enough. I'd kind of measured the distance I thought I needed, but I was this much too short. Jesus, I need to wash my hands. So do yourself a favor. If you ever do something like this, give yourself more than you think you need. I almost had to pull this whole bottom back up and reroute wires, but I was able to stretch them just a little bit, which is one of the benefits of using tape. Kind of flexes some. But yeah, that looks pretty awesome. Next is clean up, Velcro. I got to run a couple more wires, then we're ready to try it. So now that it's finally done, let me kind of run you down on where we ended up. You might have noticed some plans deviated just a little bit, and that's because, well, I just screwed up a little bit, and that's just how it goes. But overall, it turned out really well. What we have here is the Mac M1 Mini with the silicone M1 chip. We have a Magic Mouse 2 as well as the Magic Keyboard with Touch ID. This whole setup is very nice, works well. It has just a little bit of Velcro on the back, so it will be locked in for transport but easy to take out when it's time to use it. With just this setup here and nothing else, this affords me the ability to do all my spreadsheets, my video editing, all my reports, basically anything that I need to do where 2 monitors, portability, and power are important. This is a home run. And it looks good, right? I mean, it's a little heavy, but it is functional and it is portable. It's got wheels, so you can just drag it around like a kind of a tall, skinny suitcase. Now, one thing I didn't hit on too much during the assembly of this piece of equipment is that it's really important that I be able to stream as well as video edit. I don't do a lot of streaming, but I don't do a lot of streaming because I don't really have a good way to do it. One, you know, in hotel rooms where I spend a lot of time, Wi-Fi is not always great, especially not the wireless. So it was important to make sure I had a good Cat6 waterproof port on the back, which I do, so it will be hardwired, as well as a good mount for my phone. Now, I don't have my phone on me, I'm recording with it, but for example, I have permanently mounted cold shoe and 1/4 inch attachments on the outside of the box, so I can mount my camera here when I want to stream. And just fortuitously enough, all of the hardware that I used to mount the backing plates are 1/4 inch hardware as well. What does that mean? Well, all of my cold shoe, lighting, microphone, camera accessories that I have here actually thread directly on to the threads that stick out from the mounting hardware. And if you're into videography and making videos, you know what this means. But if you're not familiar, it's every one of these points is a mount for either a light or a camera. Here you might not be able to see. Let me loosen this up. Oh, going the wrong way, dummy. I've got a camera that is attached and mounted to the case that I can turn on and give some front lighting. Over here, we've got a couple other cameras that we can adjust and turn on. And they've got, 360 degrees of motion. Now I'm struggling right here because I'm upside down trying to get this tight, and this light's giving me an epileptic seizure. But you can see here, so lights, I've got another light here. I mean, y'all know how light works, but those can be mounted anywhere around the case, kind of give you decent video quality. If you're traveling and you have a business Zoom call like I frequently do, you can actually make it look halfway decent, even if you're not at your desk in your office. So really, with the versatility of all the Mac hardware and operating system and the portability that comes with being in a waterproof, rugged travel case, and kind of just the utility of the mounts for lights and microphones and the Cat 6 for streaming and good picture quality, this is truly a high quality setup with just a little bit of ingenuity. Now, this wasn't cheap to set up, but the cost wasn't in the form factor. Really, this is all stuff I had already. I just needed to put it together in a way that was more useful to me. I also have another power strip over here. It's got 9 outlets on it, but I really only have access to 6, as well as 3 USB outlets. I originally talked about bringing in my Mac M1, those hubs that stack on top. I didn't have enough room for that, so what I'll do is in this little travel case, I've got just a typical USB Type-C hub that I can plug in when I need to run, accessories and stick micro SD cards or whatever else in there. I've also got a Cat 6 cable in there to hook up to any local network, as well as the power cable that will connect the outside of the box to any 110 receptacle. This is a all-in-one unit, and it is ready to go. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Every single thing that you're looking at here came off of Amazon, except for this case. This case I got from Harbor Freight. I think I mentioned that is about $150. Everything else was Amazon. So I'll put links in the description. I'm sure you guys know how to search this stuff, but if you guys want like that full build sheet, I will take the time and put that up there for you. So appreciate you guys watching. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. I think I already said that. I meant it. ×2.